Now that the NBA Finals have finally wrapped up, it is now the off-season, so I will be doing what every single team should do this off-season. I think I have it in alphabetical order because I looked at ESPN for some notes and ideas, so we're going to start off with Atlanta. Finally aren't mid. Re-sign CJ and Kuminga. I think that makes sense. Kuminga is an interesting young talent. I probably wouldn't sign him back on whatever he was making. Try to draft Darius Acuff Jr. just because I like him, but if you can't, who knows? There's a lot of guards. It's a very guard-heavy draft, and luckily, because you guys traded Trae Young, you kind of are in need of a good guard. Brunson just went and won a championship, so I wouldn't be too worried about the whole like non-defensive guard thing, because the idea that that doesn't work, I just don't buy that. Not really that much to do. Just keep it up, re-sign the guys that you need like CJ and Kuminga, draft a good prospect, keep up what you're doing. Boston's interesting because they're obviously a good team. You could make the argument that they could run it back, but I've heard a lot of talk about Giannis. If you can trade for Giannis, 100% do it. You need some sort of significant change. Giannis is a better player than Jaylen Brown. What you could do is kind of a sneaky move is you could get him. KP's a free agent, so you get Porzingis back on your team if you could convince him to come and if you have the cap space to do it. I don't really know if you'd be able to do it. Maybe he'd come back on a discount. Then you have your stretch five. You got Kata still, hopefully. I think he's on a team option. Or you could try to trade Jaylen Brown to like the Hawks or something, just straight up and get a bunch of depth. Depth is just becoming increasingly important. You know, you got Peyton Pritchard. You got some people who can step up and be your scoring options. I just think you need more depth and consistency outside of just Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I don't know. Brooklyn Nets, sell high on MPJ. That was the main thing I put. Now that you don't have Cam Thomas and MPJ together, the greatest duo of all time, just shot chucking, there's really no point continuing with that. You could make the argument that because there's like the new draft lottery rules, that it might be worth trying to keep MPJ to like get your draft stock up. The Sacramento Kings and the Brooklyn Nets are the two teams in the worst situation, I think. I think they have almost nothing going for them. So I'd be a little bit worried about that. But either hold on to Claxton and MPJ and trade them at the deadline. If I were you, I would make the assumption that MPJ is not going to play better. Again, go for Darius Acuff. Just saying. Shift focus towards young talent rather than sucking. Throw a bunch of money at Austin Reeves and restricted free agents and just see if it happens. Austin has made it pretty clear he's probably going to go back to the Lakers, but you know, it's worth a chance. They're one of the teams that has cap space, so I would throw a bunch of money at Austin Reeves, throw a bunch of money at Jalen Duren. Just try to get somebody on the restricted free agency. Tari Eason, Peyton Watson. If you can steal one of them, that'd be huge. Hornets. I would sit LaMelo Ball down and tell him, while it was fun, the shot-chucking era has come to an end. And I'd tell him, adopt more of a Halliburton-style role, because I think he's capable of that. He's got kind of a similar build. He's very skilled. He's a great passer. He's got a very, like, deep and fun team around him. And you'll still have your games, don't get me wrong. Like, if you're feeling it, you get some open shots, and you're like, okay, now I'm going to get into my bag and try some crazy stuff. If I were the Hornets, I wouldn't do anything too crazy besides trying to shore up the front court. I would draft either a big wing or maybe a center. Kareem Lopez. That's what ESPN said. He's like he's like 6'8" or 6'9" or something. He's like a wing. I just think you need a bigger front court. Miles Bridges seems like the odd man out that's going to get traded. Low Kirk, you could hold on to him. Try to get a little bit better center depth. Kalkbrenner is fine, but I would just try to get like maybe a better backup, maybe even a better starting center than Moussa Diabate. That's his name. Diabate, he's been really great for y'all, but I could see him being more of like a backup center than a starting center. That run that you guys were on and later into the season continues. And then when you get to the playoffs, tell Con Knipple that he has to lock in, because what was that performance in the play-in? Chicago Bulls, draft Caleb Wilson and build around him and Matas Buzelis. Stop trading for guards. Throw some big offers at Reeves and restricted free agents and just see what happens. Bulls are low-key. They're another one of those like crazy cooked teams. Like they got Josh Giddey. They're going to have Caleb Wilson. They're going to have Matas Buzelis. Other than that, really nobody excites me. Josh Giddey, we'll see if he's a real player or not. I kind of just think he's one of those like empty numbers type guys. If you guys remember last season, they started 5-0. I don't know how they did that, but they got to get like some sort of big man. I mean, they're going to have Caleb Wilson. That's what I would do. Just finally try to build around a young core instead of just kind of, I don't really know what they've been doing. Y'all don't have Jordan anymore, so you kind of have to lock in and start making stuff happen. That's what I wrote in my notes. Cleveland, y'all are stuck because you traded for Harden. Try and coax LeBron over. Maybe make a short film about LeBron and give it to him. Maybe he'll just come over on a vet min. These are some elite notes. If he doesn't come, y'all got to run it back and hope for the best with Harden and just pray everything works, I guess. If they suck by the deadline, just start wheeling and dealing and trade everybody but Mobley and start over. I think that's a good plan. I like what I wrote. I think if you can get LeBron, even if it's on a sign and trade for like Jared Allen or something, and can get LeBron, do whatever you need to do and just get it. Hold on to Mobley unless you can get some crazy blockbuster trade. Like Giannis all of a sudden became available for Mobley. I just do it, I guess. Everything else, it's like, I don't think that this core works. You might as well take a flyer on LeBron and hope that somehow this core is able to make something happen, and if it doesn't work, just trade everybody. Dallas, trade Cooper Flag and picks for Jake LaRavia. If you are lucky, you could fleece the Lakers and get Bronny in the package as well. You might have to include Derek Lively to get this trade package done. Build around Jake LaRavia's hustle play and Bronny as well. He's an insane lockdown defender. Defense wins championships, and Cooper Flag can play offense, so he does not deserve to be on the team. Just kidding. I would try to get like Jaden McDaniels or something for Kyrie. I think that makes a lot of sense for both teams. I think the Timberwolves are in desperate need for a number 2 or like a 1A type of guy. Jaden McDaniels could become available. That would be an amazing piece if that happened, because then you have Jaden McDaniels, Cooper Flag. You're starting to build a little bit of a young core. I don't know if Minnesota would do that. We'll see. But in my opinion, that'd be the ideal. Kyrie's getting old and the timeline has shifted. It's nothing against Kyrie. It's just like, I still think he's going to be good, but he hasn't been on the court in forever. So who knows if he comes back and he's still an amazing, impactful point guard. Whatever timeline you had, it's gone. You traded Luka. Your superstar is like 19 years old. Everybody's got to be younger. I'd say the same thing with Gafford and PJ. I would just sell everybody and keep Derek Lively. Draft the best guard available. ESPN has Braden Burry. He's a good shooting guard. Try to get him. Maybe he could be like Con Knipple. And realize how insane it is that y'all signed D'Lo. I wrote that down. I don't know what that means. The Denver Nuggets. You got to prioritize re-signing Peyton Watson. As a Lakers fan, I would really love Peyton Watson. I hope that they are somehow not able to re-sign him. Their owner is like really cheap for some reason, and so he's not going to go into the luxury tax. Peyton Watson has made some like weird comments about how they're treating their thing as a business. I got to treat myself as a business, which like low Kirk, that makes sense. They should try getting off of either Christian Brown or Cam Johnson. It's a home run if you can get off of Christian Brown because of that contract. But I think a sneaky move is moving off of Aaron Gordon. I know that doesn't seem like a popular thing to do, but he's just had a couple of injuries. He's getting a little bit older. There are plenty of teams that would probably give up assets and maybe some young players or cap flexibility or something for him. At least you're getting something, versus if you give up Christian Brown, he wasn't great last season, but you're probably going to have to give up an asset or two because of that insane contract. I think he's making more than Aaron Gordon, which is kind of insane, or at least I think he is next year. So you got to retool a little bit. Hope that you can get Bruce Brown and Tim Hardaway back on minimums. I don't know if that's going to happen though. The Nuggets, they just got to hope that they can get Peyton Watson back. Maybe they draft somebody. Maybe they trade their pick. Put Jokic on a diet and tell him to play some defense, and pray you don't run into the T-Wolves in the playoffs. That's what I have on my notes. Pistons, trade for a secondary scorer, please. Could try to get Kawhi, Kyrie, people like that. Maybe throw some money at Austin Reeves. I don't really know what their cap situation's like. I know that they are going to have to pay Duren. Maybe they could work out some weird, I don't really know if people do that often, but like a double sign-in trade with Duren and AR. Maybe it could happen. I don't know. Give Duren whatever he wants and tell him the playoffs matter too, and he needs to lock in. Defense is good, but offense is more important. I'm not talking about Duren. I'm talking them as a team. Can't lose Duren just for nothing. If you're gonna get rid of him, it has to be a sign and trade. I would just pray that whatever he does in the regular season can extend to the playoffs. And he's like 22 or something, so he's young. He's got time to develop, but they gotta put Asar on the table, or whoever they need to on the table, because Dennis Jenkins has been good, but he's not a secondary scorer. We needed some upgrades there. And you might take a little bit of a hit during the regular season because defense is really good for the regular season, but the playoffs, offense matters more. And I will die by that being true. Warriors, brother, you got to get Steph some help. If Giannis goes to Milwaukee, try and get Hero maybe as a secondary scorer. This is true for a lot of teams, because I'm not sure that Milwaukee's going to want Tyler Hero because he's a bit of a weird player. Like, he's not your first option. He might not even be your an ideal second option. I'm not really sure what the Tyler Hero trade market is looking like because I just haven't really heard that much about it. If Milwaukee got Tyler Hero for Giannis, then they probably don't want him because they have Ryan Rollins and it doesn't really fit the timeline. So they'll probably try to flip him. I would look to get into something like that. Main targets are Kawhi and AD, in my opinion. Just got to take some risks for one less ride. Don't be afraid to trade Podz. Actually, be afraid to not trade Podz. Hope you're healthy enough to grab a playoff spot. Hire your greatest detectives and tell them to go to the Clippers organization, gather a bunch of evidence for the Kawhi thing, go to Adam Silver, be like, hey, his contract needs to be voided, and then get him on a vet minimum. You can also say that about just about any team. Houston, my top 3 notes. Get rid of KD, Now one says get rid of KD. Maybe try to get someone like Tyler Hero. I put Tyler Hero or some young guard that's out there you could get relatively cheap. Maybe Ja? I mean, that fits kind of weird. I don't really know. Houston is so weird. I just think it's like a 2 timeline thing. They were exciting last season when they didn't have KD, and then they made some trades, and now I just am not really hyped up about their situation. KD is still good, and I just don't think he fits on this Houston team. You can maybe try getting some sort of guard and running it back, but I don't know. I don't think it's the coaching. I just think it's the fact y'all don't have a point guard and don't really have a competent team going on. I'd rather pull my eyes out than watch KD play basketball for Houston again with this team. Young core is low-key a little exciting and fun. KD is too old for this. KD could go somewhere else. We'll see. I don't know who would grab him, but maybe San Antonio. I don't know. Pacers, low-key, just run it. It's kind of hard to tell who you are. Look for some kind of bench scorer would maybe be the only thing. I don't know. They're an interesting team. I think they're going to be fine. They have their starting lineup basically locked with Halliburton. You got Siakam, you got Zubac, you got Nesmith, you got Nembhard. I think that's going to be their starting lineup at least. Maybe take a flyer on somebody like Dalton Connect. I want to get rid of him as a Lakers fan, but also there is an argument that he showed a lot of promise his rookie season, and you could get him relatively cheap. You could probably just trade like Ben Shepherd at a second, or maybe just even swap Ben Shepherd straight up and just take a flyer on a guy like that just for some bench scoring. But you really don't need to do anything too crazy. I could see them just like running it back. The fact that they just lost their pick, it could have been the number 1 overall pick, and they lost it. I think it was 1 through 4 they would have gotten it, and 5 or 6 they lost it. And so they landed 5, absolute worst case scenario. But they're still going to be pretty good, so we'll see. I don't think they need to do too much. Clippers, sell high on Kawhi, unless you can somehow get Jaylen Brown, because I've heard stuff about that. Finish blowing it up and start rebuilding for the future, unless you can get Jaylen Brown. Maybe shop the 5th pick overall. I'm kind of torn between whether, because Kawhi was so good and they showed some promise. Darius Garland was really good. Benedict Mathurin was really, really good for them. If they could get somebody like Jaylen Brown, or they could get that 5th overall pick and some star opens up on the market for the 5th overall pick, maybe they could get something. I don't know. If they really think that they could build something around Kawhi one last time, maybe they do it. If not, I would trade him right now, because you don't know if he's going to play a bunch of games in the future. And he's coming off of arguably one of his best seasons. It's super weird. It's like I just keep forgetting he's in the league. If you're going to keep the 5th overall pick, get like Keaton Wagler or something. If somehow Caleb Wilson, Cam Boozer, any of the big 4, AJ Abonsa, Darren Peterson, if any of them fall, obviously take them. If not, Wagler seems like the most interesting choice. It's a little bit weird because you already have Darius Garland, so I don't know how that's going to fit. But again, just draft for talent if you're going to draft, and you'll figure it out later. See, the Spurs, they could have just not drafted Dylan Harper and drafted somebody like, I don't know who they would have drafted, but they already had their guards, and now they got to get rid of De'Aaron Fox because Dylan Harper's low-key better. Lakers, trade everything and go all in. And by everything, I just mean all the picks. This means something to me. I'm wearing the Lakers jersey. Bring Reeves back on a declining contract, because if they don't go over the cap, it doesn't really matter because they can just put him on the cap hold. So it won't really matter what he gets this year. If you gave him like 40 M's this year, but it's on an 8% decrease, his contract is just going to get better each year. So I would be fine with that. A lot of people are like, he's not worth 30 million. He's not worth 40 million. It's like, okay, what if we gave him 40 million for 1 year and then it declined? It's kind of tough. Then by the end, it'll be like a super sweet contract if he's playing the way he's playing right now. I'd try to bring back Marcus Smart if we can, Rui Hachimura if we can, Jackson Hayes if we can. Try to get LeBron on a realistic contract of like maybe the taxpayer MLE, like that 15 million. If he'll take a minimum, oh my gosh, that'd be cinema. I'm calling up Miami right now, talking about Kel'el Ware. I'm trying to get all those restricted free agents before, like if I can get a Walker Kessler or something, we're doing it. We need to get a center. We've been saying it for years. Low key, I would be fine with a Miles Turner trade. And I know some people are going to hate on that just because you can get him for free. You could probably get off of Jared Vanderbilt, Dalton Connect, maybe Jake LaRavia, throw him in there, maybe Ayton if he opts in, get Miles Turner. Probably also get an asset. What you could maybe do is even be like, hey, we'll take on Kel'el Ware, Miles Turner together. Maybe you could get a first if this is like the Giannis trade package. Be the 3rd team, absorb some salary. You guys can get off that. And we'll give you like our 25th pick or like a future first or something. Kel'el Ware is like our franchise guy. Miles Turner is like our either backup or starting center, kind of depending. At least for this year, he's kind of our stopgap because we're thinking about right now, and whatever it takes, we got to do it. Trade for a 3-and-D wing. Obviously, we've been talking about that forever. Like Herb Jones, somebody like that. Maybe somebody who's gettable. The Pelicans are stupid, so they might not do it. Do literally whatever it takes to get off Ayton if he picks up his player option. Ship him off to North Korea if you need to. This is the year, book it. Can't have a Sleepy Rob situation. The Grizzlies, it's worth seeing if you can move up in the draft if you really want a certain player. I trust that out of the top 3, you can make an argument that any of them would be the best. And the Grizzlies organization is actually pretty good at like taking talent. I think Cam Boozer would be an amazing fit for them. If you can get off Ja, absolutely do it. I just think the Ja experiment is over. He needs to go somewhere else. You'll probably still get some value for him. You know, he's just a little bit too old and he doesn't fit the timeline. And you have some encouraging youth. You got the number 3 overall pick. Let's assume it's Cam Boozer. Gigi Jackson, Cedric Coward, Zach Edey. Like, you got some pieces. And like, imagine a couple years, you could be like the OKC team that like builds, you know, out of nowhere. You're in a good position. Just stay the course. You don't got to do anything crazy. I would trade Ja though if I were you. In Miami, I have a very specific plan for Miami. If I'm Miami, this is what I'm doing. I'm getting Giannis by any means possible. I've seen the trade package. It's like Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, you know, whatever it takes. Keep Bam though if you can. Probably will keep Bam because I don't think Milwaukee would want Bam. Then go to LeBron and show him Giannis and Bam and be like, bro, this team is fire, low key, hop on. Remember those 2 chips you got back in the day? I see everybody talking about like the Lakers, possibly the Warriors, Cleveland. Why has nobody talked about Miami? If he's willing to go to Cleveland, obviously that's probably the more sentimental place, but he has memories in Miami. Miami would probably accept him. If he has Giannis, the East is so much weaker than the West. Giannis, LeBron, Bam. Holy moly. Even probably go get Ja Morant if you wanted to, if you're Miami. I probably wouldn't go get Ja. I would just retool around that core, but that's what I would do if I were Miami because then your team would be crazy. Obviously, as a Laker fan though, don't want that to happen. Minnesota, for the love of God, send Julius Randle into the sun. That's just what I have written. Try to get Ja Morant, maybe Hero, maybe Kyrie. I've kind of talked about Minnesota a lot throughout the video. They need to get some secondary talent that's not Julius Randle. They've gotten some success, but really it's not because of like Julius Randle going crazy. It's just been like Anthony Edwards, circumstantial things, matchup things. They've gotten basically as far as they could every single time. So that's encouraging, but they need to switch it up a little bit. If you need to trade Rudy Gobert, do it. I'd keep him if I can because he is legitimately very good. But you need a secondary option for Ant because it's now or never. He could leave at any point. I'd try to get Ayo Dosunmu back because he is a free agent. And he made some weird comment about like, this is the first time I've been a free agent. This is so exciting. It's not what you want to hear if you're a Minnesota guy, but try to get Ayo back. Try to get a second option for Ant. Try to get rid of Julius Randle. If you need to put Jaden McDaniels in a package and it can get you something crazy, do it. I think it's now or never for Ant. New Orleans Pelicans. Somebody has got to put a hand on your shoulder and just tell you the truth. You aren't a good team. Blow it up, please. They keep talking like they are a good team. No, they suck. Get rid of everyone and start over. Rethink your life. Keep Queen and Fears. Everyone else got to go. Sounds pretty valid to me. Like, yeah, Derek Queen, Jeremiah Fears, they seem pretty promising. You could keep Trey Murphy. You could keep somebody like Zion. They're just going to get older. They're just going to get more like difficult to trade for, more influence on their contract or on their destinations because their contracts are going to start dwindling down. So if you can trade Trey Murphy, you know what they said? They've been like, we'll only trade him if we can get an upgrade for right now. Who do you think you are, bruh? You're not winning a championship. You're not making the playoffs. You might as well just actually be like, hey, if I could get some future capital for Trey Murphy, he's out of here. If I could get just about anything for Zion, he's gone. He's just gone. Plus, I want to see Zion play somewhere else. You got to look at yourself and just be like, hey, I'm not that guy. You got to do what Ayton did. It worked for a little bit. You're not that guy, pal. So that's what I'd do if I were the Pelicans. The New York Knicks. I don't know, bro. Run it back. OKC, I would say ship Chet off to the Shadow Realm, but low-key, y'all want to chip. I'd just run it back, maybe get off of Dort's salary and let AJ Mitchell have the bigger role. That sounds fire. I would shop J-Dub, maybe shop Chet. I think Chet's just a good fit. Like, he didn't have a good series against the 7'5" demigod and Victor Wembanyama, who's literally just a better version of him. So there's that. I don't know. If you can get an upgrade for Chet, do it, I guess. But I think J-Dub is the much more interesting one because he's had a lot of injuries, and I bet there's still a lot of teams that would trade for him. And then you could just be like, hey, AJ Mitchell, take on the scoring. He's been amazing. Whatever you get for J-Dub, I don't even know what you would trade him for, but if you could get an upgrade, just do it. OKC, they low-key got infinite picks. Just run it back, hope for health, and you'll probably be fine. Because realistically, if they were healthy, they probably beat the Spurs. And then they probably beat the Knicks. They're really not that far off from a championship. And had they won a championship, we'd all be like, just run it back, just keep it going. I don't want them to win, though, because I hate OKC. Magic, I don't know, hope you are healthy. Got to get off some salary, but if you are healthy and still are mid, try getting rid of Paolo. So I just think they're in a really weird spot that you could make the case that they could be a good team if Franz and Paolo are together. But they're another one of those classic good defense. They need some more offense. And I just don't really know who the odd man out is because they traded all those picks for, who is it? Desmond Bane. Oh my gosh. They traded for Desmond Bane. It would look really bad if they traded Desmond Bane immediately. I don't know. They got to make some sort of change, but I just don't really know what. It's just like such a weird team. I don't know. They are low Kirk stuck in purgatory. They keep being the next great play-in dynasty of just being perpetually mid. I don't know what that means. We lock in a little bit? I don't know. 76ers, I don't know. See if the Kings are interested in Paul George because they are stupid and they might trade for him. That's really the only hope, I feel like. If you go to the Kings and you're like, hey, could you imagine Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Russell Westbrook, and Paul George on the same team? They'd be like, yo, you're on to something. Trade for him. I don't know. Whatever you get, it would be a bonus. But that's probably not going to happen. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they are that stupid. They're kind of just cooked because of the contract stuff. They're going to lose Grimes probably. They might even lose Kelly Oubre. Just continue to look for trading Embiid and George to see if anybody wants it. They're like the weirdest team because they have like old stars and young stars. They somehow have VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George and Embiid. Embiid and Maxey are the future. I would argue Maxey is just a better player than Embiid. When Embiid's healthy, he's the best player in the league. Those days are gone. He still is good, but setting health aside, he has regressed a little bit too. So if you can get off of either of them, do whatever it takes without getting rid of Edgecombe and Maxey, because you got to move on. Start with them. That's a good foundation, though. Phoenix, low-key, they aren't a bad team. I would hope the younger players develop a bit and maybe shop Jalen Green just because the fit is a little weird and y'all need a point guard. Because Devin Booker's been kind of having to play point guard and Jalen Green's kind of having to play point guard. Neither of them are really a point guard. If you could find just a straight, better point guard, maybe try to trade Mark Williams because he's just been not very good, not very healthy. Hope that like Malawak and like you have some young players. Hope that they progress. I would try to get Jordan Goodwin back. I think that he's a free agent now, so get him back because he's like a good like culture guy. If you traded Jalen Green for some sort of package, you guys can maybe slip your way into a 6 seed, 5 seed. I don't know. I don't really know what their goal is. It's kind of worked out where a lot of the weirder teams are towards the end. Trailblazers. Oh, this is an interesting one. Y'all need shooting, but I wouldn't change too much. Good defensive team. Maybe try to move off of Grant's contract and some salary. They're probably going to lose Rob Williams, which is fine. He hasn't really been healthy. He's a great player, though. They have Klingon. They have some depth. They have young talent. I've heard that they might try to trade for Kawhi, and I've heard stuff about AD. If I'm them, do not trade for AD, bro. Leave that to somebody more desperate. You guys aren't desperate. You guys are fine. Like, progressed a little bit each year. Denny Avdia is really good for you. Ideally, he's like your second option, though. I would be willing to move off of something like Jeremy Grant, maybe Scoot Henderson or Shaden Sharp, one of the two, some picks. Try to get Kawhi because that's a pretty good package. Do a last-second deal for Giannis? I don't know. I think that they just need their guy. Kawhi would be an amazing fit, in my opinion. And if you can get off of one of Shaden Sharp and Scoot Henderson for somebody like Kawhi, do it. If it costs both and a bunch of picks, I don't think I would do it. I would just hope that they progress. And yeah, they're like one of the more interesting teams to me. They remind me of like OKC Grizzlies before they got really good. I just think that they're a young, interesting team. They should just steer the course. Sacramento, burn it to the ground, literally everything, sell the team. They are a disgrace to basketball. I can't remember the last time the Kings made a front office move I was impressed with. They just suck and it's over. Seems pretty fair. Spurs, trade De'Aaron Fox for literally anything. He is just a liability. And what I mean by liability is he's not a bad basketball player. It's the contract, first of all, but also he's taking up a huge spot on your team that Dylan Harper is so ready to fill. I think he's straight up the better player. I think Dylan Harper is better at literally everything. Everything. Get rid of Fox literally just because he's taking up Dylan Harper's spot. If you can get any type of return, I don't know who would be stupid enough to do that. Sacramento. If somebody's willing to take on De'Aaron Fox's contract, you might have to give up a few firsts for it. Low-key, that could be another candidate for like Minnesota or, I don't know, one of those teams that kind of needs to take a flyer on somebody. Pistons, I don't know. Maybe just try to find somebody who's super desperate and be like, hey, you want De'Aaron Fox? Moving Fox is going to be difficult, but do it now before it burns your team even more. Well said, me. Toronto. Toronto is the most difficult team for me because there's really no obvious change that needs to happen. I would say Jakob Poeltl needs to get moved just because of his contract. They kind of have some weird contract situations like Emmanuel Quickley's making a lot of money, but he's not a bad player. Brandon Ingram, maybe you can move off of him. It's just weird. They're just such a weird team because they're like a perfectly well-built 5 to 6 seed team. Pretty young, so maybe they'll just develop. But I wouldn't do too much. I would just say get into the season with what you had. Maybe make some marginal moves, see what you have, and if you need to move off to somebody, do it by the deadline. Jakopoto, though, I guess you could just move. Utah, maybe try to get the first overall pick. I probably wouldn't do it because package last time I saw it was like Ace Bailey, your pick, and then a future first or something as well. That's a lot. I would just say it's finally time. Stop tanking. Finally, please actually start trying to win some games. Have Ace Bailey. You're going to probably have Darren Peterson. You have Keontae George. You have Lauri Markkanen. You have probably you're going to keep Walker Kessler, Jaren Jackson Jr. Which one of those guys is even going to come off the bench? Like, I feel like they have an odd man out that they might need to get rid of. Hopefully it's Walker Kessler and he comes to the Lakers. They have a lot of depth. I just think somebody's got to step up and be the guy. Maybe it's Darren Peterson. Maybe it's AJ DeBonsa if they get him. Maybe it's Cameron Boozer if they decide to draft him instead. Maybe it's Keontae George. Maybe it's Ace Bailey. Maybe it's somehow Jaren Jackson Jr. Yeah, right, buddy. But whoever it is, build around that guy who becomes the number one option. Actually try to win games. And if you can't, then trade for the number one guy. Go get somebody else. You have the depth and you're going to waste it if you don't actually start trying to win games. Wizards. I mean, it's obvious, but just draft AJ DeBonsa and build around him. AD might want to leave, so I would shop him before it gets too close to the next season. But he becomes a free agent pretty soon. He's going to get to kind of decide where he goes and all of that. And there probably are still teams that want him. So I would just be like, hey, let's just see who will offer some stuff. We got him. You had to give up some stuff to get him. A lot of that was just kind of salary dump stuff, and you gave up like a first. You could probably get something for him. Maybe it's worth seeing what Trae Young, and AJ DeBonsa could do together just to see, but part of me is just like, none of that's worth it. Just get off of him before he tears a new tendon that nobody else has. Maybe a pick or a young player or something. Trae Young, I don't know. Is he still valid? We'll see. Maybe Trae Young could just go on a crazy run and like AJ DeBonsa will become the GOAT. I don't know. Don't feel too pressured to have like the whole Trae Young thing work, you know, because you got some young talent. You guys are probably going to have AJ DeBonsa. That'll be your like cornerstone to build around. And so you have a very clear future, I feel like. All right, that's everything. I had to do this in like 3 different videos because stuff kept happening. I do all the videos on the phone. And I have the little, you know, like the camera thing in the car that you can like prop up your phone on. That's what I got. My phone got too hot and then my storage ran out and all of that. I'm going to have to edit it. It's going to take forever, but we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. If you somehow made it this far in the video, comment off-season, plural. Because if you just comment off-season, you might have just done that by chance. So I need to make sure that you're the guy, you know? Let me know what blockbuster move I didn't mention could happen. If there's anything I forgot, throw it in there, champ. Other than that, that's everything. Peace out.